Before I introduce Pastor Nickson here, I do want to just share a little bit of the background for those of you who are visiting with us or maybe have just been coming for a little while and you don't really know what's even happening here today. I'll give you a kind of a short story here. About 20 years ago, a member from our church went to Tanzania, Dr. Joel Carpenter, just completely on faith to work in the foreign ministry. And he is a medical doctor, and we began working at a clinic that area later became what is known as YWAM. YWAM is an international organization, and so Dr. Joel then became an employee for YWAM. Roughly 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, Pastor Nickson, young man in the ministry, seeking to serve the Lord, took a job with YWAM, and he became one of the YWAM employees on the base. And so Dr. Joel and Pastor Nickson's lives merged through the YWAM organization. Pastor Nickson then began to seek an opportunity to start his own church and have his own place of worship. That is now Bethel Church. And so Brother Joel would go there with Deborah, and so this was Dr. Joel's pastor for some time. And as the years have went by, very quickly through his young ministry, many young men and young women have been led out to be very active in doing their own work. One of those was Pastor Elijah, the one that I speak of you so much for, Pastor Aaliyah, as we call him, who started a church in Masonga. It's a village very more remote compared to where Pastor Nickson lives at. And so that's how our lives met, going to Masonga. No one in Masonga speaks English for the most part, and for those that do, it's not as well as maybe more inside of town. And so Pastor Kallinga took it upon himself to make sure we have translators. Every time we go, there is translators that go, and they're not only there to translate, they also are there to serve. And so he has made a huge impact in the lives of several from this church. And we may have not even realized just how much. One more thing I want to say about Pastor Nickson. He's never asked me for one thing. When we would go over there, it was just simply, how can we serve you? There was never a discussion about us bringing him to America. This was more of just the Lord led and asked for him to come, and this is a man here that I desire to be a man like this. I desire to be a pastor like this man right here. You deserve to have a pastor like this. And so the only other thing I want to say this morning is Brother Nickson is very sensitive about, he understands things get lost in translation. And so he has prayed and he has sought the Lord, and he wants to speak in a way here this morning that you will hear him. And so pray for him. Pray for him. He's really spent a lot of his time and his heart and his energy to try to prepare to speak in a way that you can understand him. So this morning, if you will give our friend and our bishop, Pastor Nickson Kallinga, if you'll give him a hand this morning, you come on up here this morning. Love you, brother. God bless you.
Praise God. I don't know about you, but I just